I love this question. This is a tricky one, of course, but I think it's a great opportunity to build your relationship with the person who you report to. So the general idea here is, for those of you who were here last week, we talked a little bit about nonviolent communication, and one of the core tenets of that is to try to state things objectively as possible when you're noticing that there's some type of negative emotion that's been triggered in you or in other people. So in this case, it sounds like a more senior person has made a decision, and it is evidently having a negative impact on the morale of team members. So to me, the first step is kind of zooming out into a larger context. Is just if you haven't learned already, this is something that I would highly encourage you to do, and it's part of the program that you're going through. It's really good to understand the goals of your team members, and they're both their professional goals and their personal goals. And for multiple reasons, this is very, very helpful because it helps you to better serve them, to help get where they want to go. I would also recommend that if you don't have really good clarity on the goals of the person who you report to, it would be very, very helpful to you to understand those things. And there's ways that you can do that without seeming like you're brown nosing. But when you're in a one-to-one meeting with them, just asking them, hey, professionally, where do you want to be in 3 to 5 years? Where do you want to be in 1 year? What if it's the most senior person in the organization or in your business unit, or in your department? What do you envision for this department or for this business unit or for this company for the next year or for the next 3 years? What are the biggest goals you have? And this does a couple things. One is that it helps you improve the relationship with the person who you report to. But it also, when you have an issue with the way that something's being done, it gives you context to help put whatever your concern is in the context of their goals, what's most important to them. So let's just say hypothetically that a leader, one of the top priorities for the year is improving the culture, making the culture someplace where people are better thriving at work, they're more engaged, they're happier. And so, and that this is a top priority for them, and they've made a decision that's having a negative effect on morale, then it's very simple to, when you're having a one-to-one with the person who you report to say, hey, I noticed something that is having a negative effect that I think might impact one of the things that's really important to you for this year, one of the goals. This is the goal. And this is what I've noticed. And try to be as objective as possible. I know that culture is a top priority, making sure that employees are engaged and happy is a top priority, or whatever it is. It could even be financially related. The goal is to hit X number of sales or X number of revenue. And I've noticed that morale is going down because of this decision. And it seems to me that if we're negatively impacting employee morale, this is going to hurt our ability to achieve said goal, whether it's culture or sales targets. Because, this is pretty clear data. Gallup has tons of data on this. Their research, they always compare business units within large companies to kind of isolate variables. And business units in large companies where engagement is high, i.e. morale is high, they're 18 to 20% more productive. So they have 18 to 20% higher sales compared to other business units. So this is compared to the other business units with lower engagement. So the top quartile versus the bottom quartile, it's about a 20% difference in revenue. So this is clearly, this is kind of common sense though, right? If a team that's engaged and passionate about what they're doing, they're going to sell better than a team that's not. And obviously a team that's suffering, with low morale, they're not happy. So whatever the goal is, you can tie the issue that you're seeing to that goal. And then this is an opportunity for you to kind of coach up a little bit. And this develops both of your skills. This helps the person that you report to kind of see, how a junior person can serve as a coach. and it helps you develop coaching skills. So, a hypothetical conversation could be something like, so I've noticed that morale has gone down on our team, and it's, from what they're telling me, it's because of this decision that was made. And I think that this is going to have a negative impact on the goal that I know is really important to you. So I wanted to ask you, and if, what are your thoughts on ways that we could do this differently next time that we need to make a decision like this, so that we don't have a negative impact on employee morale? And that way you don't have to come up with the answers necessarily. You can kind of ask that person, and that gives that person a chance to think through it and not really feel, you're just stating something objective, right? You're not saying you always make decisions without involving anyone. Well, that's not probably true. So we want to avoid any statement that's just kind of too broad. It has to be very specific. I noticed that morale has gone down. People have told me that it's because they're upset or frustrated with this decision that was made without involving them, or me, or whatever the case may be. And they've told me that this is why this is happening. What do you think we could do differently next time? How could I be of help to avoid a situation like this? So this way you're working together to help them achieve a goal that is important to them. And this creates a much more collaborative atmosphere, and one where no one's feeling defensive, no one's feeling attacked. You're just trying to help them achieve a goal. And if you do it skillfully, I think you're going to earn respect, and you're going to actually do a lot to help solve the problem. Now, kind of stepping back, in case that they don't know what to do differently, and you want to help coach along, you could ask questions that kind of help them look in this direction, which is, generally speaking, a decision that's going to impact a certain group of people, we want to get their feedback on that, or at least the people who lead them. So a team leader, for instance, you want to air ideas out to some degree whenever possible. It's not always possible. Sometimes decisions have to be made very quickly. But whenever possible, it's good to get the input of team members. And even if you still make the decision and lots of team members say they don't want it to happen, you can earn a lot of trust and keep morale from degrading to a significant degree by making sure people feel heard. Okay, I heard that your concern was this. Here's why, as much as I value that input and I thank you for sharing that concern, here's why we still need to make this decision. It takes a little bit of extra time to do this, but it's a really worthwhile investment, because when people feel heard in this way, they're much more likely to be able to move through the decision that they don't agree with and be productive in light of it. At the same time, this also builds tremendous trust. One of the simplest ways to build trust with team members and with people in your organization is to be transparent as possible with information. Now, of course, if you're publicly traded or for whatever another reason, there's certain pieces of information you can't share. Probably don't want to share salaries. Some companies have done that with mixed results. I don't personally recommend that. So there's clearly some information that needs to be private, but to the greatest extent possible, being transparent builds trust. And this is actually something that I've seen a number of surveys. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but this is probably a Google search away. It's just how there are a number of surveys outlining how important transparency is to employees, especially high achievers. So if you want to attract high achievers, they're very attracted to a transparent culture.